Welcome to Florida Men on Florida Man with Greg, Wayne, Josh, and Cameron, the podcast where Floridians discuss the legends, lore, and crazy stories that always seem to take place in Florida. We are here once again, a very special episode of The Social with our good friend, Rut Patel. Tell us a little bit about yourself right from the start, Rut.
Sure. I'm Rut Patel.
Yeah.
I'm president of Voyager Industries. I came to America in 2015 when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And it's been a wild ride, but it's been very interesting. I came here not knowing English and just knew my uncle.
Sure.
And we came here and started working at Dairy Queen, and always had a dream to do something, do business, but always been interested in technology. And later on, I found my passion, what it is, and I started a business using drones to solve problems and manufacturing drones.
And that's, I mean, if I can, I'd like to say that I discovered him, even though he was clearly discovered way before me. But I read a magazine, and I'm like, Wayne, we got to get this guy on the show.
That's right.
I mean, we're recording this in 2022, so it's been 7 years since you arrived.
7 years, yes.
Yeah, and you landed, didn't know English.
No.
And started working at Dairy Queen. I mean, that's
Dairy
got to be culture shock number one.
Yeah, it's got to
Absolutely.
be kind of scary. I mean, at the same time.
It is, yeah. So first day I arrived on 7th April, and on 10th April, before my jet lag was over, I had a job at Dairy Queen. And just started, my uncle, who the only person I knew, he took me to his friend's Dairy Queen. He owned Dairy Queen, and he was like, do you want to work here? I'm like, yes, I would love to just get started in, because I had no money and big dreams. So I'm like, I'll start working tomorrow. So I show up next day, and my uncle just dropped me off at the job, and the boss is late, and
you're just sitting there.
I just went in there, and I kind of introduced myself to the lady who was working there, Alexis, my first friend in America, and she just like, she was trying to communicate, and she knew I was coming there, and so she was trying to teach me, but I had no idea like how to, like, what to do, and so awkward, and it was just a big culture shock.
Yeah, well, 3 days after landing.
Yeah.
And you're now employed.
I'm an employee. Yeah.
And it's a completely different language. And you go from what I read, one of the top innovators in India, and now, not that Dairy Queen's bad, but it's not an innovation, hub of the United States.
Well, I don't know. I feel like they create some really interesting.
They create a lot of
there.
blizzards.
They do, and upside down blizzard. Actually, I remember them. You have to serve upside down. Yes.
If I offended Dairy Queen, our future sponsor, possibly.
So before we get too far into what you've done here, what was life back in India like, and what were you doing there to be able to even be named one of the top innovators?
Actually, in India, I went to engineering school for 1 year, and I had like 7% attendance. All I did just ride motorcycles and just did nothing. And in the meantime, when I found time, I was researching the airplanes, because since I was a kid, I love making things fly and the things that flew. Like, that was my passion since I was a kid. I was not very good at school. Like, I failed every subject, every exam, but always interested in technology. So life back there was very simple. We didn't have internet. We didn't have a lot of money. It was very simple, but it was actually completely different than here. It was very well, like, I was satisfied there, but I always had a hunger to come to America, because my uncle and my parents, they applied for visa when I was 1 year old.
Wow.
And it took 18 years to get here. So we always knew that one day in the future I'll come to America one day. But
that's a lot to
didn't
have
you win?
Hanging over your head, though. Like, one day you're going to get noticed.
Yes.
And it's going to say, okay, you can come.
Yeah.
And you have to drop everything?
Yep.
Or how's it even work?
So we finally got our visa call in December 2014.
You have to answer that call.
Yep. And then we went to Mumbai, India. First time, like, it's a big city. I'm not from a big city. It's like a small town. And we go to Mumbai, do the interview and visa interview. My parents are on the other window, I'm on the other window. And they asked me, like, what do you want to do in America? And I said, one day I want to have my own business there.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite American food? And they had a translator, and I said pizza, and he was like, pizza's not American food, bro. I
thought it was.
That's what I thought.
We think it is too.
It's so aggressive. Yeah. Like,
yeah. And he was just joking with me, but I got so scared. I'm like, I'm not gonna get visa because we wait for 18 years.
18
and
years. And you ruined it by saying pizza.
My love for pizza is
No,
like,
they were like,
That's nice.
I thought they're gonna ask more serious questions.
Yeah, what's
and
your
they
favorite
asked me
American
my
food?
favorite food. Like I had no like
You didn't study for that.
no. So it was just interesting, and we got visa, and after that he asked me 2 more questions, like, and they were like, your visa's been approved. So I was so happy, and we came here in April. We dropped everything, and
So it's up to them, the people that are interviewing. It's up to them whether you get it or not.
yes, absolutely.
that's a lot.
Yeah, even after you wait 18 years, it's up to them for us. And it was like, it's crazy. The interview, the thing you prepare the most for, it's like 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh
It's
my
different for
gosh.
everyone.
You got a
but
lifetime preparing
yes,
for this.
Absolutely.
So was there like an impression you had of the United States versus like what your experience has actually been?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was that like?
So, when
Should
I
be
grew
good.
up in India, like, all I knew, we didn't have internet, so I didn't have to like actually research or anything.
That's
but
probably
all
good though
yeah.
that you didn't research too much.
Yeah.
Well, I saw in TV, and I saw a lot of movies, Hollywood movies, even though we have Bollywood there. We have some Hollywood movie dubbed in Hindi, and it always shows like New York and like Los Angeles and San Francisco
Okay,
and
yep.
big cities.
The
And
big cities.
so in my mind, when I was coming to America, I was like, every car is fast in America, everyone's celebrity, every building is tall,
Everybody's good looking.
and everyone's just good. And I came here, and we come to Lakeland, and it was completely different. I loved
Oh, yeah.
it, but it was completely different than I imagined.
Yeah.
Completely different people, weather, landscape, everything was
True.
different.
Oh yeah. So it's like Lakeland, like your hometown, in Mumbai, like New York.
Yes.
It's like very similar. in
Yes.
that- in that
Mumbai
way.
is like a big city.
Yeah.
It's like very populated and very polluted too, but
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's filled with culture. But that's when I kind of had an idea, like something like that. And later on, when I came to America, I visited all the cities that I always saw in the movies.
Okay.
And then I like, okay, now I see what I felt when I was in India. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
now that you've been in Florida for a little bit, like, what's your favorite thing? Like being here and being settled, and this is your home now.
Yeah, well, the favorite thing is weather. I traveled all
Really?
around America, 25 different states. I was on the road nonstop for 2 years,
Yeah.
but always came back to Florida,
Jeez.
specifically Lakeland, because
Yeah.
I feel like I felt like a boost to my self-confidence, and just by being here, people
Sure.
around, like, they're so loving. That's what I
Right.
felt.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that in big city.
Yeah.
And the
we
weather
got
is
the
amazing.
same- we got the same
Yeah.
feeling why we stick around.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us a little bit about Voyager Industries. I mean, so
Sure.
you guys, you specialize in drones and AI and robotics, all really cool stuff. We're actually sitting here. If you're watching this show and not just listening, we're sitting near this massive drone, and it's super
It is
impressive.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about what you guys do.
Sure. So Voyager specializes in using drones and AI to solve problems for energy, agriculture, and infrastructure industries.
Very cool.
So for energy, we use drones to do the utility inspection. So flying drones to find anything's wrong with the asset. So even going to like detail as checking every single nut and bolt using drones and AI and identifying what's wrong right on the spot. We use drone in agriculture to inspect the entire thousands of acres of farm. So whenever farmers are spraying let's say if they're spraying fertilizer all over their crop, using our data, we give them exactly like a pinpoint, exactly where they need to do and how much and why they need to do that. So,
Okay.
for example, if they're spending $100,000 in a fertilizer or any pesticide, by using our data, we can reduce it to like $10,000 a year
Right,
instead
you're
of
able to pin spot what
Exactly,
area actually
yeah.
needs it.
and it's
I
actually
see.
more
Okay.
effective that way.
Because there's still mechanical fertilizer being sprayed. I mean, this is still like
Yeah.
liquid, so there are hot spots that are getting a lot more, and so that they can reduce and maybe spread more here.
Yes. So we use thermal cameras, near infrared sensors, multi-spectre, different all kind of sensor to find the health of each crop and each plant, and down to like each leaf, and find exactly what's wrong with it, and that's how we use it. We have used drones in infrastructure inspection whenever there is a hurricane happen in Florida. So we deployed in 7 different hurricanes, and right after the hurricane passes by, we make sure all those buildings and utility structure are safe for people to go back into.
That's incredible.
Because what's the alternative? I mean, before drones, how are these things being
Helicopters.
inspected? That's
expensive, dangerous, slow.
Yeah. Because you have to get physical eyes.
Yes, and we use drones for like cell tower inspection, all of that. So the reason I started that was like not because of drones, because it's like my passion always been into problem solving, and drone just happened to be the tool, and my passion because it flies, and I love things that fly.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So I started realizing there is actually, it's basically like a flying machine with the camera. You can go higher the elevation. You can see the things that you have to usually climb up. So it's faster that way, safer that way.
Yeah, for everybody.
Now, are there different builds, different types of drones for each specific job?
Yes. So this drone that you see right here, big 8 feet wingspan, it's a fixed wing. It's made to carry a bigger payload.
Okay.
This is actually a military drone used actually in the military somewhere in the Middle East, found its way to America.
Okay.
It carries the big LiDAR payload. So we use similar drone in Pennsylvania to do power line inspection whenever there is a snow.
Okay.
Wow.
So in Florida, it's completely different, but in Pennsylvania, it's very mountainous, and all the power line run across on the side of the mountain. And because of the snow,
I wouldn't imagine. I assume that they would be buried, but I don't know anything about power lines.
Yeah, but because of the weight of the snow, the tree touches the power line.
Okay.
So we use drones to identify how, and we inspected over 1,000 miles and find exactly when the tree is gonna touch the power line, so they can prevent that from happening.
That's incredible.
So you see it start to get weak or sagging, and you're like, okay,
Yes.
we have to send a physical person.
Absolutely.
Is this all like your the drone is flying and somebody is visually inspecting every part of the power line, or is this something that like a sensor can pick up, like it's an automated process, or is it still like somebody on the other end watching it? Okay, no, that's good.
So it's both. It's both. So it started with all manual, but now where we are going and the technology we have right now and what we're developing is we going to more towards automation. So not only we are replacing. So first, like give you an example. In 2019, when we went to all the big fire happened in California, I went there. I had a contract with this big utility company in California. We inspected 13,000 assets. We were sending the data to their engineers.
Yeah.
But when we were, and because this is all new, and while we were doing that, I realized, why don't I hire my own engineers to do that? So all they have to do is just look at the reports.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yes. So we did that, and the data we already have collected from all those assets, I'm like, and that's when the AI was becoming a thing. So I started doing research. I'm like, why don't we use that data to train our own model? So whenever our drone sees another thing, we don't need engineers on site to inspect. It will just notify it, like, oh, it's something missing here. The cotter pin missing, or something's broken.
So the AI is identifying a cotter pin. It's that precise.
That precise.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And is it finding anything via like stress or strain?
Yes.
Via like heat?
Yes. Okay. So it has a thermal camera. It's analyzing the temperature, what it's supposed to be, and where it's actually at.
Very cool.
And it's doing all of this at the same time.
All at the same time.
How quick is the drone flying at this point? How quick is this drone moving and can do all of that as it's going by?
So not this drone. Actually, we use different multi-rotor drones. This is fixed wing. So this made to fly fast and higher altitude. But those drones actually hover. And but we usually save like 150 minutes per inspection. So for example, the same inspection took the utility company like 2 hours. We did it in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So this thing is hovering next to a power pole.
Yes.
And going every nut.
Every single thing. It's checking, measuring.
That's incredible.
I was picturing this one, and I'm like, this thing it just looks fast.
Yes.
So that's why I was curious.
So these are just made so that it can lift off.
Yeah, so it's
and
actually
this main one is to propel
forward. Yes, this is a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing, so it doesn't need runway.
Okay.
So once it's take off like a drone, it flies like a plane. This motor shuts off and it pushes the drone, and then it performs its job. This is more for like mapping.
Yep.
So when we covering like thousands of acres
okay.
and create like a big map of a area, that's
Okay.
when we need it.
Now this is different than the one that you created from scratch.
That is
Your
correct.
own
This is
design.
different.
I don't know
That's
if we
here
can
right
get-
on set.
I don't
This
know
is-
if we can get that in.
Before we move to that one, I like, how does this run? What is this being run off of? As far as fuel,
Rock and roll
is-
and coffee. I think.
Yep. Actually it has massive battery, 24,000
Okay.
milliamp battery size. It weighs like a car battery. And,
Really?
But it's solid state. It's a master feat of engineering. Even the battery on its own.
Okay.
How they designed and
That's insane.
Solid
It
state,
flies
so
for
it
2
doesn't have
hours.
liquid in it. So
No.
you know, okay.
yeah.
So it's a closed
semi-solid state. I
Yeah.
shouldn't say all solid state.
Yeah.
How
So-
quick how fast is this drone?
This goes up to 45 miles per hour. This is
Okay.
but this is made to go not fast, but it made to go far.
Okay.
But the other
yeah.
drone that goes up to 100 miles per hour.
Slow and
Because if
steady.
you're using battery, then this would have stamina with the battery. Because the faster it goes, it would use that battery a lot quicker.
Yes.
Now, do you know offhand, and this is just an amateur question, do you know offhand what this was probably used for before it found its way to America?
Yes, like a target drone.
Okay.
Yes.
What does that do?
So target drones are made to fly one time.
Okay.
We actually making a target drone here. So you can use it in 2 different ways, either as a practice or actually the thing to hit something. So
Okay. That sounds bad.
yeah,
Considering
it
that it
is.
was a military drone, probably hit something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's
This
just
can't be cheap to fly one time.
Well, I was saying it's amazing the contrast of what your company is using this for. It's super innovative. You guys have created this like no point of comparison because you're amazing at what you do. And, compared to what it was doing before that, it's drastic. It's a big difference,
It is big difference.
Well, the drone market itself, I mean, it goes from super amateur $500.
Yeah.
What's
Oh, you can buy a drone for $50, I think.
50 bucks and fly it around your yard?
Yep. And it goes all the way up to millions of dollars.
That's crazy.
Yes.
I don't know if there's another industry that goes from that consumer level
That kind of
to-
span.
to military.
Yes, absolutely. It actually started. It's actually a military technology. Started with military, then it became more consumer.
Goodness. That's how
it always
Now
But
they're
we started.
swarm.
We started using it as a tool to solve problems,
Yeah.
real world
That's
problems.
incredible.
That's the cool
That's
thing.
awesome. Now is it the drones that you use? Do you know like how many are like repurposed versus how many you have built? Like, what's that look like as far as the drones you own?
We have 11 drones in total. All
Okay.
drones are different in its own way.
Cool.
Each made to do different things.
Incredible.
So, for example, we have drones. They do roof inspections. Do after hurricane in Florida, we do a lot of roof inspection. We inspected over 1,800 roofs in Florida.
Yeah, he used to inspect roofs
Yeah,
physically
well,
home
with,
inspection.
with a
Yeah,
ladder.
I have
so
to climb up there.
Before
Yeah.
drones?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dangerous.
It was
Yeah.
Cameron
It's
before
very
drones.
dangerous.
Yeah.
So we make use drones for that, and so it's like a small drone, but we also use drones for gas detection or
that's nice.
plans, and it's a big, massive 6 feet wide fixed wing drone that
Well,
flies.
that's got to be a lot safer than getting a man in there.
Absolutely.
With a meter that says.
Do I smell
or
gas
A,
anymore?
or a canary.
Yes.
Says, okay, well, you're dead now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole purpose of using drones, and this innovation is to reduce risk on the job site and
Nice.
doing it faster. And the data you get is much more accurate because you're not sacrificing any human. What do you lose? Like $40,000-$50,000 drone, but it's okay. You're not losing a life.
Right, come on.
it
Yeah.
doesn't even
Which
compare.
increases costs,
Yeah.
in every bit.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, this is a relatively, I mean, as far as like on the commercial side and as, for folks like ourselves, it feels like a new technology. Like people are starting to learn about it. And so when you have like street level conversations with somebody about drones, a lot of times it's very much like, oh, I'm kind of afraid of that. Or I don't know about that. Like,
Well, yeah, especially when you look at, I mean, you
that
look
one
at
looks
this,
menacing.
yes.
This one off to the side.
Yeah,
this
can
one
we
looks
get
like
to
a
that?
friendly drone.
Yeah, can we
maybe
touch
named
on
Ted.
this one? This is-
one's like definitely like this guy's Jack and he's upset. You know what I mean? Like, so how would you educate somebody that like says, oh, I'm scared of drones? Like what would you say to them? Like, it's
I'm sure you bump into that a lot.
Oh yeah. My drones get shot at so many times. We were like
Here we go.
Let's sit on
gunshots
this for a little bit.
I
Here we
assumed
go.
there was fear. I didn't know there was
I
fear
mean-
and violence.
Yeah, well, there is a
Well,
huge.
it's America, so
Yeah.
there's both.
Oh, I've had a
one fuels the
story
other.
about that.
Yeah. Oh, we did
I
have a
remember they were.
story.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's
but
okay.
We had a story about a police department flying a drone.
Yep.
At some kind of business because they were looking for intruders.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody was actively at the business, they had just broken in, and then while the police were investigating,
The
a neighbor shot the
Shot
drone
the
down.
drone down, yeah.
And it-
Not
I
around
don't
here,
know,
baby.
Why would you shoot a police drone
Yeah.
down? I mean, they're right there.
Yes.
It doesn't say police on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You just think
Drones
everybody-
are. I
yeah.
mean, I get it. Drones are scary things, but whether you like it or don't like it, they're here to stay and
Yeah.
they're here
Oh,
to
yeah,
solve
definitely.
those problems.
For sure.
It just like other things. But I run into a lot of people. I used to fly drones. Now. More innovating
Now you
and
hire
stuff.
people to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but when I was flying, I tried to educate them. Like I have cops called on me so many
Oh,
times
gosh.
inspecting stuff, and they're like someone spying on me and someone doing this.
Right.
I try to educate them. Two of my drone got shot down, and it's
my
actually a
gosh.
federal felony to get a prison time for.
Really?
Because it's registered as a FA aircraft and
Oh
has
my
its own
gosh.
tail number and everything.
Yeah,
so
but they don't know that at the time.
Was that in
They
this
don't.
area that the drones got shot down?
Florida. so-
No, it didn't
No, it
happen.
didn't
Florida
happen in
people
Florida?
are actually better. It happened in Pennsylvania and in
Really?
Indiana.
the
yes,
Amish.
Oh, well,
yes,
yeah.
The
yeah.
Amish and their slingshots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Now, is that something that does it happen frequently enough where you're like, oh, okay, here
I
we
doubt
go
that's what it
again?
was.
No, now it's becoming like people are more aware of it.
Cool.
I think people have seen enough news. Before it was just scared, like, oh, the drones are coming. Drones
Yeah,
are coming.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, drones are flying. They're probably inspecting something.
It's a very
taking
vain.
pictures.
It's a very vain way to live to see a
Yeah.
drone and go, oh, they're spying on me.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
I
they're
feel
here
like
to see
that's
me.
probably the most natural situation there.
I think
is like,
perverts.
Yeah.
True. Perverts want to watch me shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in my pool in the
I'm
backyard.
in my
Yeah.
pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Somebody
the
bring my
cameras
gun.
aren't that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone get a gun. Shoot that thing.
Okay, so we talked about the speed of this one. This one over here to my left.
Can we get it in the shot? Can
Is
we
it
get
possible to maybe grab one of these? This is sleek.
Sure. It is.
Yeah.
And
this was
this
created on
It's light too.
paper-
It is so
paper and
It's
pencil.
light. Yep.
Oh, Wayne's gonna hold
This
that
is-
for
this
sure.
Oh yeah, let me,
I can
let me
hold it.
hold this. Look at this.
How many designs did this go through before you put it up in the
Oh,
air?
this is a version 3, and
Okay.
we're still
Okay.
innovating this. This is made to go 100 miles per hour.
What's this
Come
called? Do
on.
you have names for these?
Names are coming very soon.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
This is still in the prototyping
Okay.
models, but we don't have a names yet. Maybe a boomerang because it looks like one.
cool.
It does look.
Yeah.
I mean, so this goes 100 miles an hour.
This goes 100 miles an hour. Yes, and the
Now is it topped out at 100 because
Or legally topped out of.
legally topped out 100 because
That's what I'm talking
It can
about.
go fast.
because FA does not. We have to follow FA rules.
Yeah.
This has its own registration. We have to. But we're creating a drone that goes 250 miles per hour, and
Heck
that made
yeah.
to.
Okay.
You know, I mentioned like a target drone before, and that's what it's going to be used for. Intend
Okay.
to fly only one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be launched from the other drone, like a missile, like the
okay,
other.
like something like this would carry that.
Yes, and
And
it
then
would
it would-
launch
That
in
is
midair.
so
Yes.
cool.
That's insane.
Now,
So
what-
you don't
now-
have to have all the extras that would weigh it down.
No,
Okay, that's why you would launch it off of this.
something bigger. Yes,
Okay.
like a mothership. So to carry this, to carry that drones, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like a 15 feet wide drones that's in the making, and
Yeah,
it's a whole
okay.
different story.
Maybe we
with
can
the-
be there for this.
Yeah, it's gonna happen soon. You guys will see it.
Now, what is that? What is that? How would you explain that to somebody? You're flying one drone to launch another drone.
Yes.
Like, where do
Yeah.
you even begin? Like, what? Like, how does, I mean, and it's AI, right?
Yes.
I mean, like
It's
you're
all
programming
automated.
these. So,
Okay.
how does that even start? Like, what's ground level 1 look like? I mean, that, I know. I mean, this is. I mean,
years
look.
of research.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
Right.
it's something that you have taught yourself, or like, what does it look like?
So I don't have like a formal education. I went to college here in America, but I've always been into like in this ideas. Like I'll be doing something and it just come to my mind, and I'm like, okay, let's capture it.
Yep.
I have to write it down. That's why I carry pen and pad every time with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. So when it sparks, you just
When it sparks, I just write it down. So usually it's more focused on. Now it's more like if I see a problem, I want to create something to solve that.
Incredible.
So for example, like I did not invent drone. People have invented drones
course.
like since 1900s, but now I can make it better. I cannot invent a phone, but I can invent a case that would protect that phone.
Cool.
Come on, that's great. Yeah.
Right.
So now I'm just using the technology that exists, and now I'm seeing like, okay, I see a power line. Like, okay, what can I do? What technology I create to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah.
So, you know how drones? I got that idea of launching one drone from the other drone because hurricanes.
Sure.
In Florida, we have a lot of hurricanes, and you see those NOAA airplane that goes in the eye of the hurricane.
We just talked to a guy that flies through them.
Yes, it's dangerous job. It's super interesting.
Yeah, have you been up in one?
I have not been up, but
Maybe we'll have an opening because they invited us three to go, and then
There's no way in the
he's
world.
not going to go.
And I said to, why would I do that when a drone could do it? You know what I
Exactly,
mean? Like,
exactly.
So maybe Rut can go with us.
yeah.
He just said he's sending a drone.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but he want to experience it for himself.
He's
right?
more valuable
Yep,
than we
that's
are.
true. But see, I look at that problem and
Yeah.
I see like what can I do to solve that problem?
Yeah,
Sure.
So
Right.
the drone that goes 250 miles per hour, what if that drone is intent to collect the hurricane data?
Yeah.
And you can sacrifice that. Later
Sure.
on, it would just fall in the ocean, and so you don't have to send a human
Yeah.
into the
Same,
hurricane,
yeah.
the eye
Right.
of the hurricane. So that's what like the idea comes from launching one drone from the other drone, so you
Okay.
can go fast
Uh-huh.
and penetrate the hurricane, and this is all like my dreams, all the future.
Yeah.
But
Well, like
that's
you said,
how
it's
I
all
think.
based on problem solving. I mean,
Correct.
Yeah.
you know,
Problem solving.
you're seeing an issue that how do I get a very fast drone into that to collect data? Well,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the problem is, well, I got to have a bigger drone to take
Yeah.
it out there, and
This is going to seem like an odd segue, but we watched Twister today. And Twister
We
was
did
about-
watch Twister.
I don't know that.
Twister is about tornadoes,
Okay.
and they are trying to get these tiny little computers up in the middle of the tornado,
Right.
to figure out what's going on between
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And they keep
Sensors,
running.
yeah.
They keep running their truck into the tornado and putting their lives at risk.
Yeah. Now
But-
imagine if there was a drone for it.
Bingo.
Right. There you go.
tornado
Yeah,
drone.
Right.
Tornado.
The movie
drone.
would have been 10 minutes long.
Yeah,
It's easy to
solved
solve.
it.
Yeah.
just drone footage.
But I think it's really cool though because like everything that you're describing, the reasons why you're building these drones and is because you value human life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you're solving
Yeah.
problems to save human lives, opposed to the alternative.
That's
Throwing
true.
people at it.
Right.
And I tell you why I think that way, why I do that. So before, I told you the things that fly were my passion, the drones, that's all cool. But whenever I was actually on a job site, we were in California inspecting these power lines because of the Paradise Fire.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And we go there and it's actually like insane. When I stepped out of my truck and I put my feet out, it's just sink in the
Really?
ash. And that's when I realized like this is no joke. This is like there used to be
Serious.
something
Right.
here,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah,
ash now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And by using my technology, using the work we do, we can prevent those fires. We prevented 11 fires using that. And that's when I realized I want to use drones and use this technology to create solution that protect
Yeah.
our planet
That's
and
awesome.
serve our communities. That's
Yeah.
the whole reason I do this.
Can you elaborate how, with the 11 fires, how did the drone, or how were you able to help prevent that?
Yes,
using the
absolutely.
drone?
So a lot of fires happen in California because the broken electrical system that
Yeah.
they had,
Okay,
utility
wow.
system. A lot
Well,
of
these
time,
are old grids.
old grids, old
Yeah,
grids,
they
not in
stretch these lines out
yes,
hundreds of years.
and it's so dry out there in California. It's whenever there is a power line, it sparks, and if it's even a tiny spark would do like a huge fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Right.
we
So,
inspected
yeah.
over 13,000. Me and my entire team, we inspected so many power lines, and we found how many copper pins were missing, how many insulators were broken. All the
Sheesh.
things were bad.
And the insulator's
And-
keeping this wire separate
Yes.
from almost falling on a tree.
Falling, yeah. And if it's broken and if it falls on a tree, you will never find out how it happened because it will melt the
Of course.
Right.
melt the entire thing. You'll never find out. Work with the companies. We want to work with those people who want to prevent those stuff from happening, not the react when something happened
You gotta
after.
be proactive.
It's incredible.
Yes.
with this.
And this, I mean, and it's you can do this anywhere in the world. I mean,
Yes, anywhere in the
everywhere.
world.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you have time to sit with us? I mean, you should be. There are how many feet
I'm
of
honored
lines?
to
How
be
many
here.
miles?
This is amazing.
Awesome. There are
Thank
so
you
many
very much.
miles of power lines
Yes.
that should be inspected.
That's true.
Do you have one out of the? You said you own 11, correct? Your company
Yes.
has 11. Do you have one that's like your personal like favorite? Like this is your baby that
I'm always going to be biased. The one I made is my favorite one.
Yeah.
Because it's the coolest, slick, goes fast, and I think it matches my personality. That's why I made that.
Listen, I'll say this, man. You were talking about 11 motorcycles and stuff like that. Like this thing's built for speed. You can look at it and you're like,
oh
this
yeah.
thing's-
Well, there's got to be challenges. I mean, at 250 miles an hour,
That goes
you can't-
100, yeah.
That you can't. That a normal person wouldn't be able to imagine. Like other things that you run into. I don't know what happens at 250 miles an hour.
At some point, is
But-
it just math?
Yeah. Math,
I mean,
yeah.
But I mean,
Well, I'm not good at math. That's
Okay.
why I hire other people. I'm good at like designing, and I'm
Sure.
like now like let's make. I make this cool looking thing. Now let's make it flyable. Let's like design
That's
the
really
airfoil
cool.
in that way. And that's why it was interesting. I interviewed a aeronautical engineer. He's in expertise in aerospace and drone design, and I asked him a question about this specific airfoil, and he started with an equation, and I usually start with pen and paper. So I have no knowledge in math when it comes to math.
Sure.
But I like
That's
to utilize
encouraging.
other people's skills that they have to use it.
Gotta
That's
put the
encouraging,
Right people in the right
'cause-
spot.
yeah, we don't have any.
We started a podcast where we're not good at math.
Play your strengths.
Well, I will say this. May seem off the wall, but I'm going to dial it in. Off the coast of Jacksonville, a few years back, they spotted what they're calling now these Tic Tac drones, and they were spotted by the U.S. Navy. And when I see it, immediately I'm like, I don't know much about anything, but it looks kind of like a drone.
Yeah.
Did you see that footage? Because it was
I
viral.
did see that.
What are
Yes.
your? I think you're. I would call you a drone expert. What would you say about that? Something like that.
It's definitely an interesting technology.
Yeah.
There is some super secretive stuff people are
course.
working on that even goes beyond like our imagination. Like engineers, what they're able to accomplish. Like to give you an example, like 50 years ago, Kelly Johnson designed SR-71 Blackbird, and that flew like 4 times faster than the speed of sound, and we still have not created anything on paper that we know of. It goes faster than that.
That's 50
And
years ago.
50 years ago. That was 50 years ago.
wild.
So and now, like it costs like $3 million to create a paint just for that drone and just for that plane, so it doesn't melt. It's insane because when you're flying at that speed, you have to think of all those things.
Right.
So those
Dispersion,
Tic Tac, it's amazing. I think we need better footage to figure out what it is, and I would love to see actually one of those and reverse engineer what they are or what they are. But it's definitely some interesting technology, maybe from the other world. Who knows?
Yeah.
Now, is there anything drone-wise that scares you that you're like, I wish it wouldn't go that direction?
Yes, I mean, absolutely. Weaponizing drones.
Yeah,
That's how actually the drone came into the scene. The whole thing was America sending drones to Middle East and bombing those.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
a big
But-
fan of that.
Yeah.
Yes, but people always take something and whether do it
Weaponize it.
what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who wants to do. I choose to do good with it.
Right,
Yeah, for
100%,
sure,
which is incredible. It's the polar opposite of and that's what we were saying
Saving
earlier.
lives.
The average person, you hear drones, and because of the media or whatever, you're going to associate it with the military or something
Correct.
along those
Predator
lines.
drone.
You're the polar opposite, man. I mean, like you're saving lives, you're creating jobs, you're innovating, and that is just that's huge.
Thank you.
Absolutely huge, and we're honored to have you on our show, man. And just, I will say, I don't want to speak for the guys, but if we ever find something mysterious that lands in our backyard,
Oh, yeah.
can we bring it to you
Please.
to
Or
reverse
we're going to shoot
engineer?
it down.
Yeah.
If anything flies over.
Yeah.
It landed in our backyard for a reason.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Right,
it landed for a
exactly.
backup reason. Yeah. Well, if
we'll
anything
bring it to
comes
you.
across like that, I would love to take a look at it and maybe make it fly and maybe
Cool.
Make sure you take the batteries off because you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the first thing I did with this drone.
Uh-huh.
Whenever
Took
it
the batteries out.
came here, like make sure it's no connection, not communicating to anyone.
Right,
That's the first thing you gotta look
they
for.
can't activate
No.
anything. They're like,
Right.
where's our drone?
Now, before we started recording, you mentioned that it's not just drones that you're working on.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
have a little robot, or you have some
It goes through
kinda-
pipes?
Go inside the pipes. Yeah. So, I told you so it's a tiny robot that goes inside the pipe in those industrial plants whenever
Okay.
they're producing like a phosphate or whatever.
Wow.
It's a lot of corrosion inside, so you cannot send like a
True.
human. So what we
Yeah.
do is send a little robot that goes crawl into
So you're
and
looking for
measure.
weaknesses and stuff in that pipe. I assume these pipes would corrode from the inside because you're sending corrosive through it.
Yep.
So now you're looking at it with like temperature and heat.
Temperature, heat, and also some time. There is some things called UT inspection. So you measure the thickness of the pipe.
Okay.
So making sure like how much corrosion or rust or anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you using like I don't know how you would measure the thickness of a pipe from the inside?
It's the same technology that uses to do the sonography of a belly when there is a baby. And it's like a same
Ultrasound.
thing.
Yeah,
It's the same, but it's for like a pipe.
that?
Right?
So ultrasound.
Who
basically.
adopted that?
Ultrasound, yes.
Okay,
UT,
wow.
ultrasound.
That's cool.
I'm just I'm over here. I'm enjoying this. Like I keep forgetting to talk because I'm just listening to you and like this.
I'm looking at Wayne's face and I go, and he's fangirling.
I am. No, I'm geeking out because you have not one but two things that I just don't even remotely understand.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, well, this thing flies. And now we're talking about inspecting and pipes from the inside, and then you're comparing technologies that I know nothing about either one of them. But this is it's gorgeous, man. And so I guess like the biggest thing, just to kind of close it out, like how can if someone wants to work with you or utilize your resources, how can they find you? Like, what's a good way to locate your company?
You can always look for the website voyagerind.com, and we soon have launching voyagerengineering.com.
Wow.
And you can always find me. Just search for Rut Patel and
You're around.
me. Yes.
And we're here today at Catapult. And I did want to kind of before we wrap it up, what are you doing here? Like, because we were upstairs in this little video suite, and if you're not sure what Catapult is, it's a co-op office. Anybody can really kind of get a membership, and there's different levels and everything. But you brought this drone from where? Like we haven't been downstairs.
Makerspace.
I went down to see this makerspace.
Okay,
wow.
So we're gonna have to go down there before we leave. But I mean,
absolutely,
you brought an 8-foot drone from
in
this cooperative
elevator
space. That's what I was amazed about. So what all are you doing here?
Catapult is amazing, actually. Catapult's a hub for entrepreneurs. They help entrepreneurs to launch out of launch their businesses and to get into the real world.
Get out of the house, get into
out of the garage.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so they have a space for co-working space. They have offices. They have a kitchen. They have a huge maker space, and that's where we actually build
so your
drones.
Are just chilling downstairs.
Yes,
That's
and
and other makers can just walk by them and they're like, oh, there's a drone. There's a sewing setup. There's so many other
many options. Catapult makes it possible to do anything. If you want to studio record if you want to record, if you want to shoot videos like this, we are here in the Catapult. If you want to make drones, like it's here in Lakeland.
I gotta say that makerspace has got to be kind of intimidating. I mean, I'm going in there with from what I know of makerspaces of like Raspberry Pi or like a Makey, and there's a drone like 10 feet away. You know what I mean? But it's just
aspirational.
It's insane.
It's
we
incredible.
have all the CNC machines, routers, like everything, every machine you can think of. Basically, you can make a whole rocket here,
we gotta go check it out.
If you want. Yes.
We gotta go check it out. Well, listen, Rut, thank you so much for coming on our show. We genuinely are honored to have you on here. And such an amazing story. You're an innovator, and we're really excited to see what you accomplish in the future. And I got a feeling we're going to be talking about you in the years to come.
Thank you very much.
100%.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here with you, and really appreciate you giving me opportunity to come here.
Of course.
Well, thanks again, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.